Hello, everybody. It's your old pal, Diamaretti Teddy Sousa, but you can call me Teddy. Today, I am going to read for you some samples from my book, Words of a Visionary, which will be released this month on October 17th. I know a lot of you have been wondering, well, you've taken so long to write your next project. What's been going on with you, Teddy? Well, a lot has been happening over this past summer, and I'm going to make it short, sweet, and to the point. First of all, my older brother has been going through some cancer treatments. It all started back in May when we got a phone call that my brother's white blood cell count was low and we found out he had bone marrow cancer. So my brother has been getting bone marrow cancer treatments for quite a while now, since after his birthday in May. He started in June, and he's gotten them from June until now in October, and he's had them for a while, about every week, and then he went to every other week. I think it was about um last month was when he started every other week. And we're hoping by December my brother will be down to once a month rather than every other week. Anyway, he's been doing very well. And thank you, everyone who's been showing so much of your loving support by sending pictures of your furry friends for him and helping to cheer him up. Aside from that, I've kind of had to take a break a little bit from writing just for my own sake. And I wanted to let you know that I'm doing okay myself. I just had to take a little break, and I had to go to the doctor, and my neurologist was a little concerned about my white blood cell count. And I don't know what the results are going to be the next time because my body's a little different, because I'm in the 1 percentile category of people who have their white blood cell count be off. So next year will be a very interesting journey. We'll see what happens with that. I'll keep you posted if anything new shows up with my results. Aside from that, I have been working on Spoonie's prayer book. If you've been following me, I've written that, and hopefully I'll turn that into a podcast. I'm also going to do, hopefully, a group with only 10 people in it to have writers to share their stories, what they're working on, maybe share samples of it in this month. And if you're interested, please Facebook message me privately, or have your friend message me and say, hey, I'm interested in this project. Aside from that, I have the latest previews from Words of a Visionary. This book has been a very difficult one for me to write, in between my brother getting treatment and me having times when I just didn't feel so good, and having writer's block and a bunch of other things going on with me. So let's get started with a couple samples from this book. I'm going to read you some of my favorite ones personally, in case you're wondering what this book is about. Words of a Visionary is just a book about things that I have seen and things that I've experienced over the past few years, and things that are just hopes and dreams, and things I hope will happen. Maybe. We'll see. So I've written this first one about a time when I just needed a quiet space because I was going through a lot. So I wrote this poem called Solace. I hope you enjoy it. Or Solace, if you prefer. Solace, whatever. Potato. This one's called Solace. Embrace the quiet whispers as they come in gentle, hushed tones. Know you can stay in the shade, not running anywhere. You can lay in the hammock, swaying in the breeze. Stay calm. Everything else can wait. No need to rush into the unnecessary, where folly comes in droves. Stay. Be. Live. Now. Here. My next piece is an interesting one, because a lot of times if you are chronically ill, you're always thinking if and when and how you'll get there. And sometimes you feel like I'll never get there. I'll never see my friends again. Maybe you feel like you're going through one of those seasons. And there was a piece I went this summer, towards the end of summer, to an art museum in Latrobe. And there was this painting, and I was really struck with it. I was like, wow, that's kind of how I look. And I included it in the book. So I wrote the poem If and When and How after I'd seen this picture, and I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. So that's where this poem came from, this picture, which kind of inspired it and my own journey. I dream of visiting my friends. If and when how I arrive depends on the circumstances. I dream of travels to new lands, if and when and how, once teleportation is invented, or else they create some form of travel where I don't have to depend so heavily on others to get me there. I dream of joining a new community. If and when and how I reach out, it depends if I am able to connect in person or online. Sometimes I struggle so hard against the currents of finding somewhere, nowhere seems the best option at times. I dream of being in a space where belonging is more than a trendy social media attachment. If and when and how we get past our superficial markings, placed on our mood boards and attitudinal longings, it will measure up fine, but we must do the work in order to make it. Maybe someday we will get there. If and when and how we decide to go out there and face it head on. My next one, I wrote this on a Monday. It's the best way to describe it. I wrote it on a Monday. And sometimes you have one of those Mondays where everything just doesn't work. And I thought, well, it's Monday. So I wrote this poem, Mondays Are Strange. I hope you enjoy it. Mondays are strange, trying to reset. No go for internet, crashed systems and reboots, looking for lost objects, temporarily out of circulation, searching shelves and car seats, hoping somehow items will appear, hoping to laugh at the end of the day, and the hunger headache will die away after eating something nourishing. Mondays are strange, the twilight zone of lost dreams. Make some plans and watch them be redirected into another reality. When the weekend comes, it is a whole new course. Try to find humor through the process. Mondays may be wild, but try to contain a spark of joy in the madness of them. This next sample I want to give you, maybe you're going through I think I wrote this, I was inspired by after, people who have gone through COVID and you have to adjust to a new normal now. A lot of us do. And I know a lot of people who've been affected by COVID and their world's completely flipped upside down because and when you're thrown into the deep end of chronic illness and you've never had one before, you feel like your whole world's flipped upside down and you don't know how to adjust. Nobody gives you a guidebook on this is your new normal. You kind of have to learn it, and sometimes you mask your feelings of like an iceberg. Everybody thinks you look fine on the outside, but deep down you have all these tensions, this frustration, this pain, this anger, this sort of angst inside. And sometimes they're all happening all at once, like a really bad roller coaster ride you can't get off. And so you kind of need to find support, people who will listen to you and who don't always, and then you run into people who just don't get it. And sometimes you get really mad at them because they don't understand what it's like to be chronically ill. And sometimes when you're going through more than just, oh, you'll get over it, you'll pass through it. It's more than just a season. Sometimes it just feels like the season goes on, and it's a day turns into a week turns into a month turns into 3 months, 6 months turns into a year. And I think right now with my brother going through this treatment, it feels like it's gone on for about a year now, but it really hasn't in the space of time with my brother going through his treatment. I mean, we've gone from June to now in October. I mean, June, July, August, September, 5 months. We're going into 6 months now, but it feels like it's more than the season. We've been in this. And I've been off Facebook for a while, and I'm so totally disconnected. If I've neglected you and I've forgotten to catch up with you somehow, I apologize. It's not you, it's me going through a lot right now. So please give me space to still catch up with myself. I'm still so far behind. We will catch up sometime, hopefully in the near future. with that out of the way, this poem is for those of you who are going through more than a season. The downside of the sinking sands, the growing state of loneliness, waiting for the length of it to pass, as it seems longer than a season. When body and mind are in another time zone, isolation creates a false sense of life. Keep blossoming amidst the desert spaces, no growth meant to flourish. Keep shining in the strenuous months and years. The blooms will come in the sorrows and tears, a new pathway in the lonely lands, shimmering with golden beads. No way to turn back now, where the jewels shine. Um, that's about the best way I can look at it because I've been through so many seasons like that in my life. I just try to think of the positive, try to find the little glimmers of gold in the pain, try to be thankful for the little things I have. That's about the best way I can think of it. This next sample, I was inspired by a picture I saw when I was again on my trip in Latrobe. There was a really cool picture that somebody didn't finish. Unfortunately, I couldn't put the picture in there because I don't know why. I just didn't like my picture that I'd taken. But I was inspired by this picture, and I thought it was the most beautiful picture. To see the picture, I'll post it on my Ko-fi page in case you're interested to see what this picture looks like. Um, it's really breathtaking. I was just, wow. And so I wrote a poem around it called Unfinished Bones. Enjoy. Calcium deficiency, the doctors declared. Drink up some vitamin D and build up your frame. Bones can't fuse well unless you furnish them with nutrients. However, it is hard to walk in the shadow of self if love isn't built from a firm foundation. Don't bones wither away if joy and hope are no longer there? Love is the calcium, the vitamin necessary for living. Soak up the selflessness given. Don't try to contain it and place a price on the value, where camaraderie resides. I have about 2 more poems I'd like to share with you guys. I hope they will help you out. The next one I want to give you is called Firm Foundation. I was thinking about trees when I was writing this. There's a tree that's near my house. It was planted at the time my older brother was born, and it's a really tall tree. About 2 years ago, we had a really bad thunderstorm, and we lost the top of our pine tree, and it looked like somebody took a chainsaw and just chopped the top half of it off. But it's still standing. It's still a really tall tree. It's just not as tall. And it looked like somebody just lopped the top of the tree off and couldn't make like a junior Christmas tree with it. That's exactly what it looks like. But it's still standing. And I thought about that for a long, long time. I thought, wow, it was a really bad thunderstorm. I mean, it took the siding off the house. It took top of the tree off. It blew a couple of chicken houses in my neighborhood away. It took a couple of dog houses. It was that bad a storm. I mean, it was like about 35 to 40 mile per hour winds. It was that bad. And it blew a couple of other trees and caused some flooding. But there's this little tree, this old pine tree, is so tall, and it's still standing in the midst of all this chaos. And I thought, a lot of us can get shaken up by adversity. People who you thought were close to you just turn their back on you. You have life throw so many curveballs at you. You have, a pandemic that went through our world. You have, our country being divided over political issues. And you have so much chaos going on. And yet, I think the most important thing is to have good, solid roots. If you don't have good, solid roots, you're going to get uprooted. That's the only thing I've ever learned is if you don't have good solid roots, you're gonna get uprooted by someone or something. That's about as much of a TED talk as I'm gonna give you. I'm not a big platformer or big speaker, but that's about the best way I can put it is if you don't have good roots, you're gonna be uprooted. I'm sure one of you out there is going to go, oh, that's a quotable from Diana Teddy Sousa. If you don't have good roots, you're going to get uprooted. And the poem is called Firm Foundation. As a tree in the garden planted by streams of water, let my roots be firmly planted so I will not be moved or washed away in tides of confusion. May my feet be upheld, not turning my ankles so I stumble and fall. Let my heart not grow discouraged under the weight of disappointment or sag beneath years of loneliness. Help me stand and sing in the midst of adversity, so I may uphold others in the darkness, so they will see and know there is hope together. Um, this final poem I want to read for you is called If. And a long time ago, some of you might remember, maybe I said this, I found it in a notebook and I wrote down, life is full of ifs. You can't spell life without if, because there's plenty of ifs out there. And I think a lot of us turn those ifs into shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and they haunt us and traumatize us for years. I know I have. I've had a lot of, oh, I wish I could have pursued my career as a librarian, but I had a curveball thrown in because I got sick. Or I wish I had pursued maybe becoming a florist, but I didn't because I wanted to be a writer. Or I wish I had moved to Pittsburgh, but I didn't because there was a pandemic. Or fill in the blank. Maybe you have your own fill in the blanks. Well, moved to a certain part of Pittsburgh to move in and help my best friend, but that didn't happen because of the pandemic. And I could continue to kick myself over those things, but I've learned not to do that, because if you live in the world of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, you're going to keep regretting the things that you haven't done and wanting to live those dreams you never did and won't happen. And you're going to hate yourself forever for those things. So don't keep thinking of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Focus on the what you will do and the good things you have, the good things you've done. Don't think about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. They don't help. So I wrote the poem If about that, the things that I wish I had done, the things I didn't do, the regrets I might have had, and just said, hey, it was just like a moment of, hey, you can't go back to the things you didn't do, but you can only take those moments of the things that you didn't do and go forward and focus on the things that you are doing, and take those moments that didn't work out and transform them into seeds of growth, of outreach, of helping other people. So that's what I've done. So here's the poem, If, as your final thought. If. If is the biggest little word, ripe with possibility. Doors waiting to open, the next step in growth. A few stumbling blocks and some trepidation. Still, life is chock full of ifs. Some stipulations apply, where we drive ourselves to despair, looking back in regret, wondering why we chose certain paths or failed to follow another career. We cannot choose the foolish notions or the long dormant dreams. We have to live in hopeful wonder, knowing there is room for exploration, tingling in ifs. I hope you like that last part about there is no room, we have to live in hopeful wonder, knowing there is room for exploration, tingling in ifs. And I think we have to stay in that sort of state of wonder. And if we lose our state of wonder, we lose our joy, and we get robbed so much of joy. And I hope we don't lose that sense of joy. So don't lose your sense of joy or hopefulness. And if you are in a state of lost joy or lost hopefulness, know you're not alone. And there are people out there who care, and I care about you. And know that it's you I like, okay? I hope you have enjoyed the sneak preview of my book, Words of a Visionary. It will be out October 17th. I have it available. It'll be available through Ko-fi in audiobook samples. So you can go to ko-fi.com/purplelicious. It'll be in my shop. I have the print audiobook version in ebook form. It will be hopefully available through Lulu and Amazon. Fingers crossed and prayers said for it. And if it's not, it'll still be available through my Ko-fi. And you can get it through ko-fi.com/purplelicious. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me and listening to these sneak preview poems. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.